Hey guys, Peter Chen here, recording another 500 Zoom video. On table 2, we'll get to defend our big blind. Unless the small blind raises. So we check the flop, and I think I can just fold on this flop. Now we're going to have to defend a lot by raising, but my hand is just not quite strong enough. Opening this Queen 9 suited on table 1. And on table 1 now, I'm going to 3-bet pocket 10s from the big blind. Big blind against small blind. I'm going to call 6-5 offsuit. And on table 1, opening button with 10-9. So if the 6-5 is checked to me, I'm going to start betting. Against a small bet, I think if I had a backdoor flush draw, I would call, but with the offsuit hand, I'm going to fold. It would be nice if I could see my hand here. Recording videos always gives me lag. I timed out with pocket 4s, I guess. Recording this video is costing me a lot of money. I mean, pocket 4s is not the greatest hand there. Would be fine to just fold it as well. On table 2, I open cutoff with King 8 suited. On this flop, I think I'm going to be doing quite a bit of checking on this flop, and this hand is pretty good to do it with. But that being said, I can also bet this hand. On table 1, hijack opens. I'm calling King Jack offsuit in the big blind. So it goes check check on the flop, and on this turn I think we want to do a lot of big betting. I think I would rather have a hand with some kind of draw to do that with, or just having a lower hand. My hand now I think is definitely a bet. I think it is strong enough to go for this big bet. I should very rarely be beat. Maybe I can even go for that big of a bet with a 10 with a good kicker if I have that. And I'll probably mostly have pairs of eights or like tens with weak kickers where I'll want to bet like a third pot. And then obviously I have just loads of high card hands that will turn into bluffs. So on table 2, button against cutoff, I could flat this hand, I could 3-bet it. Table 1, opening cutoff with king 10 suited. So with the king 10, I'll either check or bet half pot. And with the pocket tens, I'm going to bet my range for small on this flop. So I get pretty good turns to bet on, again, with both my hands. One where my hand got stronger and one where my hand got weaker. And I think these tens are strong enough to shove for value. The king 10 I'm kind of unsure about. I do have jack 10, queen 10, queen jack, just like other hands like this, king 7, king 5. So I think this is a little bit too strong to be betting. On table 1, I'm going to open king 6 in the small blind. On table 2, opening aces and cutoff. On this flop, I'll mostly be just betting small. Maybe I can check some like pairs of threes or ace highs, but mostly just betting. On this turn, I think I can bet again. Table 2, calling big blind against small blind with 10-8. Facing a check. I could check this back sometimes. I think it is strong enough to be betting a lot, though. I'm going to check back this time. I could better check again. And now on the river, I'm definitely going for value. I think I did. I could go for 2 streets of value with this hand, but it's not really strong enough to be betting big on the river. So both my hands can either call or raise, um, and both of them want to mostly call. On table one in this spot, hands like king queen suited, ace jack suited, ace queen suited, they prefer calling a little bit, but 3-betting is also fine. And I'm going to flat this raise. And on table 2, I think my king high is just strong enough to show down and win sometimes. I have much worse hands to be bluffing with. I'm not sure if this hand is strong enough to call or not, but I don't think he's ever bluffing or value betting with like a weak ace, so my hand's just a bluff catcher. The strong ace is reasonable, so I imagine I'm supposed to be calling my hand. And with this king queen, I think I'm just going to be calling down all streets. Facing the river check, I think he's going to be betting all his ace king and better, so I just pretty much have the best hand to bet. I'm going to 3-bet this king jack off on table 2. And on table 1, opening jack 8 suited. So on this flop, I'll be starting out by betting small with my whole range. This 7-6 suited, I could open it or I could fold. I think if we had all strong players behind, I would just fold it. But against this lineup, I think I'll be wanting to open more. On table 2, I'm going to 3-bet ace-5 suited. Interesting lead, I think. I think I just have to fold to it. Not great to be folding to a 1/8 pot bet, but I basically have nothing. He can't really have much worse other than a suited connector, and I also don't have much worse. On table 2, this ace-8 I could call, I could 3-bet. And now I'm going to fold to the squeeze. I'm not sure if my hand is actually strong enough to defend or not. I think I get to do a lot of folding. Small blind will mostly be squeezing strong hands, but even though I beat all the king, queen, king, jack type of hands, I'm dominated by a lot of aces. On table 1, I open and call the 3-bet, and now I've flop a no bender, going to call it. Not going to be doing a lot of raising on this flop. Now that I've picked up a draw, I think my hand is I think my hand is a really good check back hand. And once the river's bricked, this is when I'm going to start betting. But even then, I don't know if I want to bet this hand. Obviously folding to his bet, but just thinking about what type of hands I want to bet there, and what kind of hands I would want to bet there if I got checked too, and I'm not really sure. So on table 2, I called blind versus blind, faced a small bet on the flop. I think my hand has quite a bit of showdown value, but it should also play well as a bet. Like basically small pairs work well as bets a lot of the time. And I'm unsure if I get to big bet here at all, so I'll just go for the small bet. It can't be, I don't think it could be a mistake to make the small bet, but it might be a big mistake to be betting big. Now on the river, I'm definitely betting this for value again. I just want to think about what size I want to make it. I have a lot of hands that I think want to go for this like close to pot size bet. This being one of them, maybe if I have an ace. If I have a 3, I would go for an even bigger bet, I think. I'm not really that worried about him having a 3. I think he should have no offsuit 3s other than ace 3 and like I'm not sure about suited 3s even if they would call a bet on the turn without having the diamond. So on table 1, I'm kind of in the same spot. My hand strength is a little better than the other one. I think on the river, you can usually just look at the strength of your hand and bet the size that it wants to bet. And just throw your bluffs into the same size as the other hands that have cards like it. So in like a blocking yourself kind of way. Or like making sure other people can't do stuff with blocking your hands. On table 2, there's a limp, and I raised it. I think my hand has pretty good showdown, so I'm going to try to check it down. I would call a smaller bet, but I don't think I can call this big of a bet. On table 1, opening the small blind, Jack 4 suited. And on table 1, opening hijack with ace 9 suited. So the button calls us. On the flop, I'll just check my range. With this hand now, I think I could either call or raise. I think I want to be raising a bunch. This is a really good turn to continue on. I'm still just tempted to check because I kind of feel like he's pretty strong. And on this river, I think in theory I should be betting my hand a lot of the time. But I also think that I'm just going to get called based on his timing on the last two streets where he just snap called me both times. On table two, it's a single raise pot, blind versus blind. I think my hand is close to being good enough to bet for value. Like there's four hearts on the board, but just being a single raise pot with no action previously, I think I'm going to get called by a lot of pairs or just other worse hands. I'm just going to fold this king queen. On table two, on this flop, I could either bet or check. I think hands like this, like a king high or ace high with no backdoors, are kind of the best hands to check with. They're kind of like the backbone of our checking range. They could be the hands where we're pure checking. I'm going to defend this 6-3 suited three-way. Another three-way pot on table one where I opened. I think I have a reasonable hand to be doing some betting with. A pretty nutted draw. And now that I've hit a pair, I'm going to check. With the 6-3, I think I don't need to be betting any pair plus flush draw hands. I can just bet my strong flush draws. On table one, I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing on the river in a three-way pot, but I feel like I should just be going for value. Opening the button with queen 10 off. And on this flop, I could either check or bet. I think I want to check here a little bit more. And I'll be folding to this bet. On table two, I called this bet. Again, I have no idea what I'm doing in a three-way pot on the river. But I think my hand can win a decent amount of the time. On table two, I'm going to open the button and On table one, I have this hand which I could either call or 3-bet with. Now I always want to be defending this king high, especially with the club. On table two, opening hijack with king 10 off. These are going to be our last hands here. I'll probably keep playing the session and record another video and put it up next week. If nothing goes wrong. The last few weeks I've had some just half-hour recordings. Now I want to check down my king high, and I just realized my showdown value. I still have way worse hands to be betting with. I have all the club hands, hands like 6-5, backdoor spades. Alright, I'm going to end the video here. Thanks for watching and see you guys next week.